Hey everybody, this is Dream, and we're going to be covering college basketball and the NBA today. Before I get started, can you guys smash that like and subscribe button? I am going to do college basketball first. Hopefully everybody's doing well. This is a pretty interesting slate here. So I have two core plays, one being Danny Wolf and the other one being Seth Towns. These guys are both way underpriced for what their production is. Wolf, I don't even know how they came to that price point. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. I'm going to go through the four games real quick. So we have Yale and Quinn. This game is a 9-point favorite for Yale, 146-point total. For Howard and Penn, this game is a 5-point spread with Penn winning 148-point total. For Gonzaga and Mississippi Valley State, this is Gonzaga being favored by 41 and 142-point total. San Francisco and New Orleans is a 22-point favorite in San Francisco and 147.5 points in that one. So, couple blowouts, a couple tight games. Obviously, these two tight games are probably going to be more fantasy appropriate today, but there's going to be a couple players worth a look from the other two games as well. So we'll get through those. So let's go ahead and get started on this one. We're going to start with Danny Wolf here for Yale. He is just criminally underpriced. He's been absolutely great all season long so far, and his price point is way too low for what his potential is here. He's definitely a great play on the slate. I like his upside, and he's in a decent matchup here where his team's favored to win, and you should get full complement of minutes. So he's a great option here. Then we'll look at Bez. Don't know how to say your last name, from Yale. He's also been playing pretty well, though his ceiling is, or his floor is a little lower than I'd like, but his price is still decent, and he's a pretty good draw for this particular slate. Has a good upside in this one, and his price is still pretty fair. Looking at Seth Towns, now he's not quite as valuable as Wolf was, but he's still really solid. He's been pretty good all season long as well in the 5 games he's played at least, and so he has some really good potential in this one. He has some nice upside being the starter, and he's getting a ton of minutes, as you can see. So he's a great option on the slate and a core play as well. We'll look at Bryce Harris. For Howard, he's also in play. Now, his team is not favored to win, but this is one of the few teams that isn't favored to win that has some good players from it. And Harris has played very well this season. He's priced pretty fairly at 6,600, a little bit more expensive than Towns, but still a good play. His floor is a little bit lower, but he got really nice potential in this game, and there's not a ton of options in this price range anyway. So then we'll look at Jelani Williams. Now, he does carry some risk today. He has a very low floor. He's only played in a handful of games so far as well, similar to Towns, but he's played well in those, and he looks to have a pretty good amount of minutes and has nice upside in this matchup, and so he's definitely worth a look. Then we're going to look at Tyler Perkins for Penn. Now, they are favored to win the game, and this is one of the higher scoring games. They're all pretty close, though, in scoring. He does have a low floor, but he's played very well in similar type situations. He even played well against Kentucky the other day, so I do think he draws some good potential here. In fact, it's like the games that they're kind of close is the games he plays the best in, and this is definitely that situation. Obviously, he carries a little risk with his price, but he's definitely in play. Sam Brown, also in play for Penn. He's also been somewhat inconsistent, but he's played well in the last couple games, and so he does draw some potential here. He is high risk, high reward, because he does need to score points mostly to get this fantasy points, but he's been hitting a bunch of threes lately, so that has him a lot of potential in this game, and he's pretty cheap, so he's definitely playable. Then we're going to look at Anton Watson from Gonzaga. Now, obviously, Gonzaga is favored to win this game by 41 points. His minutes could be limited to around 20. If that's the case, he'd be very hard to roster at this price point. But he still carries the upside because he could still end up with a double-double anyway, though he does have a lot of high risk, high reward here. Same goes for Ike. He's got a lot of potential in this game, but again, this blowout risk here could really limit his minutes. And as we can see in his last, he doesn't play a ton of minutes to begin with, most of the time 18 to 25. But even in the blowouts, he sometimes has bad fantasy points as a result of those. But he still has the potential, and so he's definitely in play, but he's high risk, high reward. Looking at Hickman, he follows a similar suit. His minutes tend to be high, but in the last couple of blowouts that they've had, he's had a few lower minutes, and that has limited his fantasy potential. Though he does actually have a pretty solid price today, so he's definitely worth a look. He's probably my least risky option from Gonzaga simply because he's been solid in those situations. Then we're going to look at Raekwon Brown from Mississippi Valley State. If you're going to lose anybody from one of the two teams, and whether it be Mississippi Valley State or New Orleans, he's probably the best bet. He's been the most consistent of the players from these two teams, though he doesn't. He does play a lot of minutes. He does have lowest floor because he's got a tough matchup, and of course his team's been getting blown out a bunch of times, and that hasn't really stopped him from scoring a decent amount of fantasy points anyway. Then we'll look at Magbo from San Francisco. Now, he does carry a very risky play as he is extremely expensive today, probably a little bit more than we'd like, but he's been good the last few games. The question here is if they blow it out, how many minutes does he play? Which he could play less minutes, and he's had that happen a few times this season already, and that would be a big concern at his price point. Same goes for Marcus Williams, who's also in play here for San Francisco. He draws really good upside, but he definitely has high risk, high reward due to the matchup and the potential for a blowout. So, with that said, guys, that's what I have for college basketball. Let's go over to the NBA now. Now, this NBA slate is absolutely insane. We have a ton of games, 13 being, and we have a crap ton of questionable tags. So, we'll go through the injury report real quick. For the Pacers, Nimhard, Jalen Smith are both out, and then Nesmith is questionable. For the Pistons, Duran is out. For the Cavs, Mobley and Levert are out. For the Magic, Suggs is questionable. Carter Jr. Fultz are out, and Isaac is questionable. For the Wizards, Gafford is questionable. Wright and Shamet is out. For the 76ers, Embiid is questionable. For the Heat, Bam and Hero are out. For the Hornets, Ball is out. Williams is doubtful. For the Hawks, Hunter is questionable and Jalen Johnson is out. For the Knicks, Robinson is out. For the Timberwolves, Edwards and McDaniels are questionable. For the Rockets, Brooks and Eason are questionable. For the Bulls, Caruso is questionable and Levine is out. For the Bucks, Crowder and Connaughton are out. For the Jazz, Markkanen is out and Kessler is out. For the for the Hornets, for the Thunder, Dort is questionable. For the Mavs, Kyrie is out. Williams is out and Green is out. For the Grizzlies, Smart and Kennard are out. Morant, Adams, and Clark remain out as well. For the Nets, Simmons is out and Walker Ivy is out. And Dennis Smith Jr. is out. For the Kings, Monk is questionable. For the Trailblazers, Brogdon is questionable. Ayton is questionable. Grant is out and Williams is out. And for the Clippers, Plumlee is out. So we have an absolutely metric ton of injuries concerns today, including some expensive and questionable tags. If Embiid was to be ruled out, that would definitely open up some options. But right now, we're going to, based on who we have for sure, we're going to start with Hartenstein for the Knicks. Now, he should be drawing a start or at least getting a lot of minutes today. With Robinson out, he's been really solid in those situations, and he's got good opportunity to have a big game here. He definitely carries some risk, but he's nice and cheap and definitely helps you pay up at other positions if you want to go that route. Then we'll look at Jokic. He's obviously Nikola Jokic, and he's been absolutely monstering the ball lately. Hasn't been under 55 fantasy points once since November 20th, so he's got a lot of upside here. He's played very well lately, and I like his potential in this game against Atlanta. We're also going to look at Nick Richards at Charlotte, as he's got a tough matchup here against Miami. However, he should draw the start today, and when he gets enough minutes, he has double-double potential. And Bam's out for the Heat as well, so that gives him a little bit more upside with not having to go up against Bam. Looking at Sengun for Houston, he's also in play. He's been very solid lately. He does draw some nice potential. His price has come up more, though, but he's still in play as he's been pretty consistent and a good fantasy asset for this. He's also got a great match against the Spurs. Then we're going to look at Jabari Smith for Houston as well. He definitely carries some risk today, but he's been solid recently, and his price, while it is a little higher than I like, he definitely draws some potential in this matchup. He's been in a good run for about 8 games, and his price is still good, so he's definitely worth a look here. Tim Hardaway Jr. looks like he's going to be a great option on this slate with Kyrie out. He should get plenty of opportunity to get some good fantasy point numbers. He tends to have big games occasionally when he gets the opportunity, and this is definitely one of them. With so many of the guards out, he should be good to go here and a great option on the slate. Tyrese Halliburton is in play for Indianapolis. He's been absolutely on a tear lately, and I don't look for him to stop that here against Detroit, especially. He's going to have a lot of upside in this matchup, and he's a very great expensive play. However, he'll be hard to roster because of the value, or the lack of value, at least at this point. Terry Rozier does have a tough matchup against Miami. However, Miami is missing some of their key players, and he's been absolutely on a tear since Ball has been out. Now, again, temper your expectations with the matchup, but he's definitely a capable option on the slate, and so he's definitely worth a look. DeMar DeRozan is in play for Chicago. He does carry some risk, but he's played very well with Levine out, and his numbers have risen some. He's also been pretty consistent all season long. Um, though with the price point, he definitely needs the advantage of Levine being out. Vucevic has played very well in 3 of the last 4 games, and they've won all those games. I look for him to continue that. He's playing more minutes. I think that is as a result of Levine being out, but he's playing a lot of minutes right now, and so he's definitely worth a look. He definitely has that high upside capacity, but he's had a lower floor this season than we like. Uh, Overall, I think the slate is probably pretty rough, as it's going to be really difficult to get some of the injury reports for the later games in time, but we definitely have a good big old slate here. I didn't find a ton of value. It seems like a lot of guys are already kind of priced up and stuff as a result of the situations and things, so it's going to be hard to find a really good roster here, but overall it's the slate, so it should be an interesting one. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below, and have a nice day, guys.